But one thing is very clear: he was able to, give us that corruption stance, anti-corruption stance.
Regarded as one of the most transparent.
Fought against Boko Haram, the insecurity, in the twilight of 2014, twilight of administration of Goodluck Jonathan, where we had the Chibok schoolgirls. Right. He fought Boko Haram, but later, second term, Boko Haram started coming up again, kidnapping and all that, which overshadowed his gains and all of that. But one of the things that I would say is that former President Muhammadu Buhari publicly declared his assets, which no one had ever done, back in the day. And he said one thing he said about his wife, which I still find quite interesting. Although he drew some criticisms, he jokingly said that he didn't know the party his wife belonged to, but what he knew was that his wife belonged to his kitchen and 0-0.
And of course, that went on for quite a while. And we must also give him kudos for infrastructure development, especially the second what we call Niger Bridge. Yes, that's the word. The second Niger Bridge, which a number of leaders before him tried, to pick up or do, but then he was able to ensure that came to light. But a number of persons from that region did not want to give him kudos. They said, oh, Jonathan had put the plan in place, this and that. But then who executed it? He was the one. So when you're talking about infrastructure, that second Niger Bridge is one thing that has his name on it, whether anyone likes it or not.
He also completed in Lagos about the expressway.
Of course. So he did a number of work. I am picking that one in particular because of the kind of sentiment that was around that second Niger Bridge and the conversations that followed it later on. Talk about agriculture, how he closed our borders and wanted us to boost local production and also put in place the anchor borrower scheme so that farmers could benefit from it at the end of the day. But you know how things like that happen in this country, where it is that the real people who need the monies are not the ones that get access to it, but you see third parties now took over and the farmers were not getting the monies as at went due. And so that affected our production, that affected food security, and so there was food inflation, and that began our journey to the matter of food inflation as a country. Even though that policy now is quite shaky, a number of persons are still saying perhaps that policy, if we had followed through at ensuring enforcement and ensuring that the monies got to the right hands at the right time, perhaps we will not be where we are right now when we are talking about food inflation.
Talking about infrastructure development during his time, I was privileged to consult for a production company at that time that was working directly with the Federal Ministry of Works. And we did documentaries about plans for infrastructural development, the ones that they have done, the ones they are doing, and the plan for the future, and you could see the broadness of the plan that he had for infrastructural development. And Raji Fashola was Minister for Power and Works Power and something else at that time. And he's a man that likes building. He likes building. One thing that stood out was that he got approvals. He got presidential approvals for these things in such a way that you now realize that, okay, it is this administration's focus to make sure that infrastructurally Nigeria is in a better place. So when you said infrastructure, I agree with you 150% because I did documentaries about them and I saw those things myself firsthand. He did wonderfully well, wonderfully well when it comes to infrastructural development and renewal.
Interesting.
Yeah, but also I would speak on corruption. When you talk about corruption, during his tenure, we saw that a lot of people were probed, a lot of big names, were under investigation because he was a person that he was disciplined. And like Ibrahim said, he's one person that brought out his assets. We don't see that from a lot of politicians. But I just want to go back to the fact that there are lots of reactions on social media. And at the end of the day, nobody is perfect. There's a video of him that I watched yesterday that really got to me, where he apologized. At some point, he said maybe he had offended some people and he's sorry because you cannot. He knows exactly, and he's sorry. And that video alone, he says that it also speaks about legacy. And I feel like this death is teaching people that at the end of the day, you cannot be in power forever, and you cannot get out of life alive, you will definitely go, and it's your legacy that will live on. So I feel like his death is also a message to our politicians to do well and do things rightly.
Ibrahim, he was a military head of state in the 1980s. One of those who had the opportunity to serve in uniform and also to serve in Agbada, as they would call it, talking about democracy. And even his time as a military head, a lot of people criticized, the measures and policies he put in place, how a lot of persons needed to tighten their belts regarding the matter of the structural adjustment program and all of it. And the number of Nigerians were not even happy at that time. And so they hoped that, okay, his second term or time at ruling the country, he will be able to perhaps correct some of the things that were done that he did at the time during his short-lived term in office. Remember that General Ibrahim Babangida actually, through a coup, took him out of office in August 1982 or 3, I think, or so, or 85, one of those years. But then he took him out of office. But if he was able to turn the tide when he became, a president again, is another thing, like she pointed out, that a lot of persons were not happy, and that he also now came out to apologize, saying if he knows that he offended some people, and also he tried his best and all of that, but then apologize. We see our leaders coming to apologize after they have left office. Some, you think that it's an apology, but when you read through the lines, it's not necessarily an apology. For some, that's why I said that. So is it so difficult to do the right thing while in office? Because they say uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. And when you are seated in that office, you may not be able to see everything happening because you have people who are meant to do the work, but they may not be getting back to you to give you the right information.
That makes you human, as I said a little earlier. The fact that you are the apogee of the aim of affairs, it doesn't mean that you can do everything because you have advisors. So it depends on the kind of advisors that you have. If they're giving you the proper advice, that because you trust them. So sometimes when they give you this advice, this piece of advice, you feel, okay, I think that's the best. But if you're not able to process some of the advice you get from these people, it might lead you astray. And the fact that you also want to do the right thing, which maybe generally could be the right thing, because Nigerians or some people feel, no, yes, is the right thing. They know at the bottom of their heart that is the right thing. They would feel you are attacking us. During the Buhari regime, the 1983, when he came into power as a military head of state, it was as though he was going to, he did a whole lot of things. So it is that mindset, that people had, that reputation that people had, and said, okay, Buhari will come back this time around, not in uniform, but in Agbada. so he did the Agbada thing, he did the Babariga thing, he did, all of that. But at that time, what he could do, if you remember the why, the war against indiscipline that he did, which led to behavioral change, people learning to kill, people doing the right thing. Others also criticized as authoritarian, that no, he did it in an authoritarian, in a democrat way, but then, in a despotic way, dictatorship. But he was able to achieve some things which he wasn't able to achieve as a Democrat. Right. So they said just some would use him as a repentant Democrat or something like that. I've forgotten this particular word that they use, but as a Democrat, yes, as a president, you are not able to put some things through. You have to go through the National Assembly. The legislature is there, and then the judiciary is there, who can challenge whatever it is that you bring on the table. So there's a whole lot, but one thing is...
He was also accused of nepotism at the time, that he was just bringing in his people on board into his administration. But whatever it is, he has done his best. In summary, as former President Olusegun Obasanjo said, and may his soul rest in peace. All right, let's quickly run through what the papers are saying this morning, but that will be after the break. Stay with us.